Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I need you to lean in and hear me with clarity today. Now, I know this topic right here, it may rub some people the wrong way. We're not here to demonize tattoos or condemn individuals. We're here to talk about perception, psychology, and what research has revealed. Studies show that certain decisions we make about our bodies can affect how people see us, and whether we like it or not, perception often influences relationships. Brothers, hear me today because I need you to really grasp this. Studies have shown that women with tattoos are often perceived as more promiscuous. Now, listen, I'm not saying that every woman with a tattoo is out there being wild, careless, or loose with her life. No, I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying, and what I want you to understand, is that perception has power. Whether we like it or not, whether we agree with it or not, perception shapes reality in the minds of people. See, life is not always about what's true, it's about what people believe to be true. If enough people believe it, then it becomes the reality you will have to live with. And when a woman marks her body with tattoos, society often labels her whether she deserves it or not. Some see it as rebellion, some see it as a cry for attention, and yes, many see it as a signal of promiscuity. Think about this. A man walks into a room with a woman covered in tattoos. Maybe he sees her as beautiful, strong, confident, but the people around them, they may see something different. They may whisper, they may assume, they may reduce her character to nothing more than her ink. And whether he admits it or not, those whispers start to echo in his own mind. Doubt creeps in. Suspicion rises, and before long the relationship is strained, not by her actions, but by society's perception of her actions. Now you may say, Pastor, that's unfair. And you're right, it is unfair. But fairness doesn't erase reality. The world will judge you on appearances before it ever gets to know your heart. And this is why you got to think critically before you allow yourself to be emotionally invested. Because, brothers, listen to me. It's one thing to love a woman in private. It's another thing to walk proudly with her in public, knowing the perceptions that will follow. Let me bring it closer to home. Imagine you're at a family gathering. Your mother, your father, maybe your grandmother, they see this woman walk in and she's got visible tattoos. Instantly, there's an assumption. They don't even ask questions. Their generation was taught differently. They associate tattoos with rebellion, with wild living, with instability. Now, she may be none of those things. She may be educated, grounded, a woman of faith, but perception overrides her truth. Suddenly, your family questions your judgment. They wonder, why would he choose her? Doesn't he see the signs? And now, instead of building bridges, you're fighting battles. And here's the deeper risk, brothers. Sometimes if a man already has insecurities, the world's perception of his woman will magnify them. You see, if society says she's promiscuous, every time she's late, every time she's out with friends, every time she doesn't answer the phone right away, his mind goes racing. Where is she? Who is she with? What is she doing? And before you know it, the relationship is poisoned by suspicion, not because of her actions, but because of the stigma attached to her appearance. You have to ask yourself, do I have the strength, the maturity, and the security to stand by a woman who will be judged everywhere she goes? Because, brothers, it takes a strong man to handle the whispers, the looks, the judgments. And let me tell you this, if you are already weak in self-esteem, already battling jealousy, already unsure of yourself, then attaching yourself to someone who carries that kind of perception is like pouring gasoline on a fire that's already burning inside of you. Let me take you even deeper. The perception of promiscuity doesn't just affect you socially, it can also affect her professionally and spiritually. In some spaces, she may not be taken seriously. Her intelligence may be underestimated. Her character may be dismissed. And if she's not strong enough to rise above that stigma, she may internalize it. She may start to believe the label. And if she starts to believe the label, then eventually she may start to live out the label. That's the danger of perception. Sometimes perception becomes prophecy. Now, brothers, this is where wisdom comes in. If you are considering a woman with tattoos, you must look beyond the ink. Ask yourself, what's her character? What's her integrity? What's her vision for life? But at the same time, don't ignore the reality of how the world will view her. You can't build a life on denial. You can't pretend the world won't notice. You've got to walk in with your eyes wide open. And let me give you a truth that you need to write on the tablets of your heart. Love is not blind. Love sees clearly and still makes a choice. Love that is blind is infatuation. It's lust. It's a temporary high. Real love looks at the truth, the beauty and the baggage, the blessings and the burdens, and decides if it can handle it. So, brothers, when studies tell us that women with tattoos are often perceived as promiscuous, we must take that seriously. Not because it defines who she is, but because it defines how the world will see her. And how the world sees her will affect your relationship, your family, and even your own mental peace. You've got to ask yourself, am I prepared for the stares? Am I prepared for the questions? Am I prepared for the stereotypes? Because if you're not, you're walking into a battle you cannot win. But if you are, then you must stand firm, grounded, and unshakable in who she truly is beyond the ink. Brothers, don't be fooled by the outward appearance, but also don't ignore the weight of perception. The Bible says in Proverbs, a prudent man foresees the evil and hides himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. In other words, wisdom sees the risks ahead and prepares, while foolishness walks blindly into disaster. So I leave you with this. Perception may not define truth, but it can destroy peace. Don't just ask, do I love her? Ask, am I strong enough to love her in a world that will misunderstand her? Because if the answer is no, then love her as a sister, pray for her as a friend, but don't tie your life to something you cannot carry. Brothers, I need you to lean in again, because this right here is critical. Studies show that one of the patterns linked to tattoos is impulsive decision-making. Now hear me clearly, this doesn't mean that every woman with tattoos is reckless or careless. No, some of them thought deeply about their choices. Some of them attached deep meaning to that ink, but at the same time, research tells us that tattoos, especially when chosen in youth or in emotional seasons, can be a marker of impulsiveness. And brothers, impulsiveness is not a small thing. Impulsiveness is dangerous when you're building a life, when you're building a family, when you're building a future, a marriage, a relationship. It requires stability. It requires wisdom. It requires foresight. And impulsiveness is the enemy of stability. See, an impulsive person makes decisions in the heat of the moment without considering the long-term consequences. That woman might say, I like this design, I'm getting it today. But if she can do that with her body, what might she do with her finances? What might she do with her emotions? What might she do in your relationship? You've got to see the pattern. Tattoos may just be the surface evidence of a deeper tendency. And brothers, I've seen this too many times. A man falls in love with a woman who is exciting, spontaneous, full of life. She makes him feel alive because she's unpredictable. But after the honeymoon phase wears off, he realizes that her impulsiveness is not just about fun, it's about financial decisions made without thought, arguments started without wisdom, and commitments broken without remorse. Imagine this. You're building with her, you're saving money for a home, you're planning for the future, but suddenly she spends thousands on something unnecessary because in that moment she felt like it. Or imagine this, you're working through a disagreement and instead of reasoning with you, she storms out, makes a reckless choice, and then later comes back saying, I wasn't thinking. Brothers, that's what impulsiveness does. It creates instability. And the studies are clear. People who mark their bodies in permanent ways at young ages are often expressing a spirit of impulsiveness. They don't always think about the future. They don't always calculate the cost. And hear me, if she's impulsive with her body, what makes you think she won't be impulsive with her love? What makes you think she won't be impulsive with her loyalty? Now, I know what some of you are saying, but Pastor, I like spontaneous women. I like excitement. I don't want boring. And I hear you. But let me tell you the difference between spontaneity and impulsiveness. Spontaneity is fun within boundaries. Spontaneity can bring joy to a marriage because it's thoughtful fun. It doesn't destroy stability. Impulsiveness, on the other hand, disregards boundaries, disregards wisdom, and disregards tomorrow. And brothers, you can't build a future on a foundation of impulses. Think about it this way. The Bible tells us that the wise man builds his house upon the rock, but the foolish man builds upon sand. Impulsiveness is sand. It shifts, it moves, it collapses under pressure. A woman with a pattern of impulsiveness may be exciting in the moment, but when storms come, and storms will come, you'll find yourself sinking because she doesn't have the discipline to stand. Let me give you a practical example. I counseled a young man some time ago. He was dating a woman who had several tattoos. Now, again, I wasn't judging her for that, but as he told me more about their relationship, I began to see the pattern. She had gotten her tattoos in moments of heartbreak, in moments of drunken nights, in moments of rebellion. And as they dated, that same pattern showed up in other areas. When they had an argument, she would run to social media and blast their private issues. When she got upset, she would spin recklessly. When she was stressed, she would disappear for days without explanation. Brothers, that relationship ended not because of the tattoos, but because of the impulsiveness behind the tattoos. And this is what I want you to understand. The tattoo is just a symptom. The deeper issue is the spirit of impulsiveness that may drive her decisions. Now, not every tattooed woman is impulsive, but if that spirit is there, you better pay attention. See, love will make you overlook patterns. Attraction will blind you to the red flags, but wisdom forces you to ask the tough questions. Is this woman disciplined? Is this woman consistent? Does she think before she acts? Or does she just do what she feels in the moment and apologize later? Brothers, let me be real with you. Impulsiveness may not show up at first. In the dating season, it may look like fun, it may look like adventure, it may look like passion, but when you're married, when you're raising children, when you're trying to keep a household together, impulsiveness will show up as chaos, stress, and frustration. Do you really want to come home after working hard all day to find out that your partner made a reckless decision that set your family back? Do you really want to live on edge, never knowing what she will do next? Because that's what impulsiveness creates, a life of instability. Now, let me balance this. Can a woman who once lived impulsively grow into stability? Absolutely. People can change, people can mature. But here's the key: don't marry potential. Don't marry what you hope she will become. Marry what you see consistently today. If she is impulsive now, don't assume marriage will fix her. Marriage magnifies who you already are. Brothers, studies don't lie. They're not gospel, but they do reveal patterns. If you see tattoos, don't just stop at the surface. Ask the deeper questions. Is this ink a symbol of thought and meaning, or is it evidence of impulse and recklessness? Because your future depends on the answer. And let me leave you with this truth. A woman who is disciplined, consistent, and wise will protect your peace. But a woman who is impulsive will drain your energy and destroy your stability. Brothers, don't confuse excitement for endurance. You can't build forever with someone who lives only for the moment. Brothers, hear me today, because this one right here will hit you in a place where it matters most. Studies suggest that individuals with multiple tattoos sometimes display lower relationship stability. Now, don't get me wrong, having tattoos does not mean a woman cannot commit, but research reveals patterns, and patterns don't lie. When you look at those who live by impulsive decisions, symbolic gestures, and constant external changes, oftentimes those same patterns show up in relationships. Now, brothers, let me put it this way. A tattoo is permanent ink on the skin, but the act of getting it is often tied to a temporary moment. It's tied to a season of feeling and impulse and emotion. How many people do you know that got a tattoo of a lover's name and later had to cover it up or remove it when the relationship failed? How many marked themselves in a season of pain only to regret it later? See, that's the danger. If a woman can permanently mark her skin in a temporary season, what makes you think she won't commit herself to a relationship that she will later abandon once the emotions fade? Brothers, hear me clearly. Commitment is not about feelings, it's about decisions. Feelings change, but decisions anchor you. And when you're choosing a woman, you've got to ask yourself, can she stand when the feelings fade? Can she be loyal when the fire dies down? Can she endure when life gets hard? Because that's what commitment looks like. Now, let me talk real. Many men fall for women because of the thrill, the passion, the excitement. They get lost in the beauty, in the laughter, in the way she makes them feel. But then they forget to ask, does this woman have staying power? Does she have endurance? Brothers, don't marry a sprint runner when you're signing up for a marathon. Marriage is not a 100-meter dash. It is a lifelong journey. And if she doesn't have the character for commitment, you're setting yourself up for heartbreak. Studies connect multiple tattoos with lower relationship stability because for many, tattoos are symbols of reinvention. One season, she's this. Another season, she's that. She's constantly shifting, changing, becoming someone new. Now, change isn't always bad. We all grow, we all evolve, but you don't want a woman who reinvents herself so often that she cannot remain consistent in her love, her loyalty, or her commitment. I want you to think about this. When you build a house, you need a foundation that doesn't move. If the foundation keeps shifting, the house will crumble. In the same way, when you build a relationship, you need a partner who is consistent, who is rooted, who is steady. if her identity is constantly in flux, if she's always searching for herself, if she's always trying to reinvent who she is, then she may not be ready to commit to someone else because she hasn't even committed to herself. And brothers, let's be honest, commitment is not easy. Commitment means staying when it's uncomfortable. Commitment means working through conflict instead of running from it. Commitment means sacrifice, and a person who has lived life making permanent decisions in temporary seasons may struggle with that kind of sacrifice. She may say the words, "I do," but when storms hit, her actions may say, "I can't." Let me share something with you. I once counseled a brother who was devastated after his marriage ended. He told me, "Pastor, I don't understand. When we started, she was all in. She promised forever. She said she was committed." But as he shared the story, I realized the signs were always there. This woman had a history of changing directions quickly. She jumped from job to job. She shifted friend groups every year. She marked her body with tattoos that represented people and places she no longer wanted to be connected to. And when the marriage got tough, she did what she had always done. She moved on. Brothers, listen to me. The greatest predictor of future behavior is past behavior. If she has a pattern of inconsistency, if she has a history of impulsive reinvention, if she has shown you that commitment is temporary for her, you better believe that marriage will not magically fix that. Marriage doesn't change people, it magnifies who they already are. And don't let your loneliness trick you. Don't let your desire for love blind you. Don't convince yourself that your love will make her settle down. Your love will make her stay. Your love will fix her. No, brother, only God can change your heart. And until she chooses to grow into stability on her own, nothing you do will be enough. Commitment is the bedrock of marriage. Without it, you have nothing but romance without roots. And romance without roots will wither when the seasons change. That's why the studies matter, not to shame, not to condemn, but to warn you to look deeper. Tattoos might not be the problem, but the mindset behind them could be. So what do, brother? You slow down. You don't just look at the attraction. You study the patterns. You don't just listen to her words. You watch her actions. Has she been consistent in her career, in her friendships, in her spiritual life? Or has she been a wanderer, moving from one thing to another whenever the wind blows? And let me say this, don't confuse passion for permanence. Some women will love you with fire today and leave you in ashes tomorrow. Don't confuse a moment of intensity for a lifetime of commitment. At the end of the day, commitment is a fruit of character. It's not about what she says in her vows. It's about what she proves in her life. And you as a man have to be wise enough, disciplined enough, and patient enough to discern whether she has the roots to stand with you through thick and thin. Because, brothers, let me tell you, when storms come, and they will come, you don't need someone who looks the part. You need someone who can stand the part. You need a woman who won't quit when she's tired, who won't walk away when she's disappointed, who won't abandon you when life gets tough. That's commitment. So don't just ask, does she excite me? Ask, does she anchor me? Don't just ask, does she make me happy? Ask, will she stand with me when I'm unhappy? Don't just ask, does she say she loves me? Ask, has she shown me that she can commit beyond her feelings? Because, brothers, a tattoo may be permanent ink, but true commitment is permanent love. And if she cannot show permanence in the simple things, don't expect permanence in the weighty things. Choose wisely because your future depends on it. Brothers, I want you to hear me carefully right now because what I'm about to say is something many men overlook until it's too late. When you choose a woman, you are not just choosing her body, her smile, her presence in your private world. You are choosing her life. You are choosing her story. You are choosing her reputation, and you are choosing the way society and your family will respond to her. And whether you want to admit it or not, social stigma is real. Family resistance is real. Now, we live in a world that's quick to say, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks, as long as you love her, that's all that matters. That sounds good. That sounds romantic. That sounds like something you'd hear in the love song or a movie. But real life doesn't work like that. In the real world, people's opinions matter. In the real world, your family's blessing matters. In the real world, the community you live in will shape how easy or how hard your relationship will be. And studies have shown that women with visible tattoos often carry a stigma. Society labels them, judges them, and places them in boxes. Some will call her rebellious, some will call her wild, some will question her morals, and whether that's true or not is irrelevant because the perception becomes the reality. And when you bring her into your world, those perceptions won't stop at her. They will land on you. I need you to imagine this. You're walking into a family gathering. Your grandmother, your uncles, your parents are sitting there. And when you introduce this woman, the first thing they notice is the tattoo across her arm or her neck. And immediately, without knowing her heart, without hearing her story, without respecting her mind, they make a judgment. They may not even say it out loud, but you can feel it in the room. You can feel the disapproval. You can feel the whispers. You can feel the unspoken question, why her? Now, some of you will say, well, Pastor, my family doesn't matter. I don't care what people think, but let me challenge that thinking. Family does matter. The approval of the people you love matters. Because when you marry a woman, you are not just marrying her, you are joining families. And when you bring a woman into that circle who is carrying a stigma, you may find yourself in constant tension. Every holiday, every reunion, every family prayer, there's that resistance in the air. And let me tell you, constant resistance wears on a man. I've seen men ignore this truth and later regret it. They thought love was enough. They thought attraction would carry them through. But when their families never accepted her, when their communities whispered about her, when the social stigma isolated them, it became too heavy. And instead of building a marriage with joy, they spent their energy fighting unnecessary battles. Brothers, let's take it deeper. This stigma doesn't just come from family. It comes from society at large. Some professional environments will look at a woman with tattoos differently. Some spiritual communities will treat her differently. And when you are tied to her, you are tied to the way she's treated. You might find doors closing, opportunities shrinking, simply because of the perception attached to her. Now, again, this isn't fair. It isn't right. But it's real. And this is where wisdom comes in. The Bible says in Proverbs, a wise man foresees the evil and hides himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. In other words, wisdom sees the trouble ahead and prepares, but foolishness ignores it and suffers later. If you are wise, you won't just ask yourself, do I love her? You will ask, what will my family think? What will society think? Am I prepared to carry the stigma that comes with this choice? Because, brothers, hear me, it's not just about what you can endure. It's also about what she can endure. If you bring her into a space where your family resists her, where your community whispers about her, where doors close on her because of her image, can she handle that pressure, or will it crush her? Because if she breaks under that pressure, your relationship will break too. I've counseled women who carried this kind of stigma. Some of them were strong enough to rise above it. They said, let people talk, I know who I am, but others were wounded by it. They were constantly offended, constantly angry, constantly battling to prove themselves. And in those cases, the marriage became a war zone because instead of focusing on building a future together, they spent their energy defending themselves from outsiders. Now, brothers, let me balance this. Not every family will resist. Not every society will judge. Some families are open-minded. Some communities are progressive. Some people will look past the tattoos and see the woman's heart. But you cannot assume that will be the case. You got to know your family. You got to know your environment. You got to know the culture you live in. If your family is traditional, conservative, religious, and you bring in a woman who looks like rebellion to them, you better expect resistance. And here's the key question. Can you handle it? Can you handle going against your family's expectations? Can you handle your community's judgment? Can you handle being misunderstood? Because if you cannot, don't put yourself in that position. Don't tie yourself to something that you are too weak to defend. And I want you to see this clearly. Love is not just about two people. Love is about two families, two histories, two reputations, two legacies coming together. And if those legacies clash, you need to be strong enough to hold it together. Brothers, don't be naive. Don't say they'll get over it. Some families never get over it. Some communities never change their perception. Don't say we'll prove them wrong. Sometimes proving them wrong takes a lifetime, and in the process, you'll wear yourself out. You got to be honest with yourself. If you know your family values tradition, if you know they already have strong expectations, then be careful. Don't pick a fight you're not ready to fight. Don't invite resistance into your home if you don't have the strength to bear it. Now, does that mean you should never date or marry a woman with tattoos? No. It means you must count the cost. It means you must know what you're walking into. It means you must be strong enough to stand by her in the face of resistance. If you can't do that, then don't fool yourself. Don't set her up to be rejected. Don't set yourself up to live in constant conflict. So, brothers, let me leave you with this. Social stigma is real. Family resistance is real. And love alone will not erase it. Before you commit your heart, ask yourself, can I carry the weight of this choice? Can I defend her when people whisper? Can I protect her when family resists? Can I love her through society's judgments? If the answer is no, then you need to be honest, because marriage is hard enough without adding battles you are not strong enough to fight. And let me remind you, wisdom is not about following your feelings. Wisdom is about seeing the bigger picture. Feelings fade, but stigma lasts. Emotions change, but family pressure lingers. Don't choose based on the temporary, choose based on what you can sustain for the long haul. Because the wrong choice will not just cost you peace, it can cost you your future. Brothers, I want you to think carefully with me right here, because this point is one of those things that doesn't always show up in the early days of romance, but will hit you like a storm later if you don't see it in advance. Studies show that tattoos still carry a stigma in professional environments. Yes, times are changing. Yes, there are companies that are more open now, but let's not deceive ourselves. The reality is that in many spaces, especially conservative ones, tattoos still speak before you ever open your mouth. And when you are tied to a woman with visible tattoos, her professional challenges become your professional challenges because her reputation is connected to yours. Now, hear me clearly. I am not saying a woman with tattoos cannot be successful. I'm not saying she cannot climb the corporate ladder or build her own empire. There are plenty who have, but what I am saying is that she will often have to fight harder to be taken seriously, to be respected, to be seen as competent. And that fight is not just her fight, it becomes your fight because you are walking with her. Imagine this. You're invited to a formal dinner by your boss or a gathering where influential people are present. You walk in with your woman, and the first thing they see is not her intelligence, not her poise, not her spirit. The first thing they see is the tattoo on her neck or the design across her arm. And instantly, whether they admit it or not, they form a judgment. Some may think she's unprofessional. Some may assume she's rebellious. Some may decide right there that she's not the kind of woman they want representing their circle. And brothers, those perceptions spill over to you. People begin to wonder, if he chose her, what does that say about him? Now, again, I know that doesn't sound fair, and it isn't fair. But life is not about fairness, it's about realities. And the reality is that the image of the person standing next to you will affect how people view you. That's why kings were careful about who they married. That's why leaders were cautious about the image of their queens. Because people will always connect you to the one you stand with. I've seen this play out. A man trying to build his career, working in spaces where image matters, but every time his wife or girlfriend appeared, her tattoos drew the wrong kind of attention. Instead of listening to her wisdom, people got distracted by her appearance. Brothers, you've got to be wise. Ask yourself, what kind of future am I building? What kind of spaces do I want to move in? If you're trying to move into corporate spaces, political spaces, or environments where image and tradition are still king, then you must consider whether her appearance will help you or hinder you. Now, let me be balanced here. There are industries where tattoos don't matter. There are environments where creativity, art, or freedom of expression are celebrated. In those circles, tattoos may even be an asset, a sign of individuality and boldness. If that's the world you're in, then maybe this won't weigh as heavily. But if you're aiming for spaces of influence where image is scrutinized, then you cannot ignore this. And let me talk to you about something deeper. The frustration that can build inside a woman when her tattoos cause her to be overlooked professionally. She may become bitter. She may feel disrespected. She may come home angry day after day because people don't see past her appearance. And guess who will absorb that frustration? You will, because you're the man standing beside her, and her professional struggles will spill over into your household. I want you to see the ripple effect. This is not just about how society sees her. It's about how she sees herself. If she feels rejected because of her tattoos, she may internalize it as shame. She may become defensive. She may lash out at people for judging her. And sometimes she may even lash out at you because deep down she knows those tattoos are creating barriers she can't easily remove. Brothers, that's a heavy weight to carry. Now let's make it practical. Think about raising children. Imagine your son or daughter's school. has strict environments, and every time your wife shows up, people stare at her because of her tattoos. Imagine the whispers your children may overhear. Imagine the assumptions teachers or parents might make. Again, it's not fair, but fairness doesn't erase the stigma. And you have to decide, are you prepared to live with that reality every day? And here's the spiritual principle I want you to take with you. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes, to everything there is a season. Brothers, life has seasons, and sometimes the decisions we make in one season leave marks that affect us in another season. She may have gotten that tattoo when she was young and carefree, but now she's older, she's wiser, she's trying to build a serious life. Yet those marks are still there, and they are still speaking, whether she wants them to or not. That's the weight of permanent decisions. So you've got to ask yourself, as a man of vision, can she still stand in the rooms you want to stand in? Can she still represent the legacy you're trying to build? Can she walk into the environments you're aiming for without becoming a liability? Because if the answer is no, then you must think long and hard before you tie your destiny to her. And let me leave you with this. A wise man doesn't just think about today. A wise man thinks about 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now. Today you may be in love, and today her tattoos may seem like a small thing. But when you're standing in rooms of influence, when you're building a family, when you're shaping a legacy, will that decision still feel small, or will it become the chain that holds you back? Brothers, don't let your attraction blind you. Don't let your loneliness rush you. Think, pray, seek wisdom, because the woman you choose doesn't just affect your private world, she affects your public world, your professional world, and your legacy. And sometimes the weight of her image is heavier than your love can carry. My brother, let us sit in this moment and look closely at something that is often overlooked but carries weight far heavier than what the eyes can see. Studies and experience alike show us that for many people, tattoos are not just decoration, they are declaration. They are not always about beauty. Sometimes they are about rebellion. They can symbolize a spirit that resists authority, pushes against tradition, and refuses to submit. Now, that may look exciting at first. It may feel like strength. It may even look like confidence. But hear me, brothers, a spirit of rebellion is no small thing. And if it is not addressed, it will eventually show up in your relationship, in your home, and in your future. See, when a woman wears rebellion on her skin, it often points to a mindset she has carried in her soul. Maybe she grew up under rules she despised. Maybe she felt controlled or judged by family, religion, or society, and she decided, I will live my life my way and nobody will tell me otherwise. That sounds bold. That sounds free. But the problem is that same spirit does not die when the tattoo heals. That same spirit shows up in her relationships. If she struggled with authority then, she will struggle with authority now. And hear me, brothers, marriage is not about dictatorship, but it is about order. And when a woman cannot honor order, there will be chaos. I am not saying every woman with tattoos is rebellious. No, let's be clear. But what I am saying is that studies show a higher correlation between tattoo culture and anti-authority attitudes. That means you must use discernment. You must ask, am I looking at ink or am I looking at evidence of a deeper spirit? because ink fades on skin, but rebellion lives in the heart. And here's the truth. A rebellious spirit does not stop at parents. It does not stop at teachers. It does not stop at bosses. Eventually, that spirit will test you, and you'll find yourself in a relationship where you cannot lead, you cannot guide, you cannot cover, because every time you try, it turns into a battle. She's not just resisting your words, she's resisting the very structure of order. Brothers, you don't want to spend your life in a house that feels like a battlefield. You got to remember that rebellion is often rooted in pain. Many women who embrace rebellion are trying to reclaim power after being hurt, after being silenced, after being controlled. That tattoo may be her way of saying, I'm not owned by anybody. But the danger is when that declaration gets turned against you, even when you are not trying to own her, but to love her. Brothers, love requires cooperation. Love requires humility. Love requires submission, not the submission of slavery, but the submission of respect. If she cannot submit to anyone, if she cannot yield, if she cannot respect, then she cannot truly love. And let me tell you what happens in the long run. A rebellious spirit will wear you down. At first, it may look fiery. It may feel passionate. You may even mistake rebellion for independence. But over time, it will feel like resistance at every turn. You'll start questioning yourself as a man. You'll wonder, why does everything have to be an argument? Why do I always have to fight just to be heard? And brothers, a man cannot lead where he is not respected. The Bible teaches us that rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. That means rebellion is not just a personality trait, it is a spiritual issue. It creates division. It opens the door for chaos. It shuts the door to peace. And when a woman carries that spirit, she doesn't just affect herself, she affects the entire atmosphere of the relationship. Your home will never feel like home. It will feel like a war zone. Now, some of you may say, but Brother RC, I can change her. My love can calm that spirit. And I need you to hear me with clarity. Love does not change rebellion. Only repentance does. Only transformation does. If a woman has not recognized that spirit in herself and chosen to surrender it, then no amount of your patience, no amount of your sacrifice will uproot it. You cannot heal what she refuses to admit. You cannot lead where she refuses to follow. So, what do? You must discern in the beginning. Watch how she talks about authority. Listen to how she describes her past. Does she speak with bitterness about everyone who tried to guide her? Does she reject any voice that dares to correct her? Does she bristle at the idea of leadership in a relationship? Those are signs, my brother. Don't ignore them because her beauty blinds you. Don't silence them because your loneliness drives you. Because here is the truth. Rebellion may look attractive when you are dating, but it will become destructive when you are married. Rebellion may feel like passion in the beginning, but it will feel like poison in the end. And if you tie yourself to a woman who cannot yield, you will spend your life dragging instead of walking together. I want you to imagine your future. Imagine you have children. Imagine you're trying to set boundaries, to raise them with structure, and every time you lay a rule, she undermines it. Every time you give direction, she cancels it. How will those children grow when the home itself has no order? Brothers, rebellion in a woman does not just fight you, it fights your entire legacy. So, my counsel to you is this: do not just ask, is she beautiful? Is she exciting? Is she fun? Ask, can she follow? Can she respect? Can she yield when it matters? Because if she cannot, then all the beauty in the world will not matter when you are drained, broken, and weary from fighting battles you were never meant to fight. And here's the sobering truth. Sometimes the tattoo is not the problem. It is the symptom. It's a sign of battles she's fought, scars she carries, choices she made to defy those who tried to shape her. And if you choose her, you must choose her scars, her rebellion, her fight. And you must ask, am I ready for that? Is this aligned with my destiny? Because, brothers, destiny requires peace. Legacy requires order. And a man of vision cannot afford to chain himself to a spirit of rebellion. It will cost you more than you know. So hear me today. Study her, discern her, pray over her. Don't be deceived by the ink. Ask God for eyes to see the spirit behind it. Because sometimes what looks like art on the outside is actually warfare on the inside. And if you find that rebellion is there and she has no desire to change it, then you must have the courage to walk away. Because it is better to walk away from rebellion than to marry it and spend a lifetime regretting the choice. My brother, I want you to lean in for this one because it goes deeper than the surface, deeper than the skin, deeper than the ink itself. When we talk about tattoos and what they may signify, one of the things that research reveals and life experience confirms is this: many times those markings are not just art, they are evidence of a story. And too often that story is wrapped in pain, in trauma, in disappointment, in heartbreak. The tattoo becomes less about beauty and more about baggage. It becomes a way of wearing the scars of the soul on the surface of the body. Now let me slow down and make it plain. A tattoo may look simple to you, a flower, a name, a symbol, but to her it may represent a season of her life when she was broken. It may be the name of a lover who betrayed her. It may be a reminder of a parent who abandoned her. It may be an emblem of rebellion during a season when she was angry at the world. And though the tattoo is permanent on her body, the deeper issue is whether the pain behind it is still permanent in her soul. Because if that pain is unresolved, you're not just dating her, you're dating her baggage. Because I want you to understand something. Baggage does not stay quiet. Baggage speaks. It speaks in the way she trusts or refuses to trust. It speaks in the way she argues or shuts down. It speaks in the way she gives love or withholds it. You may think you're dealing with the woman in front of you, but often you're wrestling with the ghosts of her past. You are paying for wounds you did not cause, and unless she has confronted that pain, healed from it, and released it, you will spend your relationship bleeding from cuts that were made by another man. I've seen this play out time and time again. A man falls for a woman because she's beautiful, because she's exciting, because her tattoos even feel mysterious. He thinks this is passion, this is uniqueness, this is expression. But as time passes, he realizes those tattoos are attached to unresolved trauma. Suddenly, she's suspicious of every move he makes. Suddenly, she accuses him of things he has not done. Suddenly, she pulls away in moments when intimacy should be building, and he's confused because he's fighting battles that don't belong to him. What he doesn't realize is that her past is still alive in her present. Brothers, hear me with clarity. Emotional baggage is heavier than physical beauty. You can admire her shape, her face, her style, but if her heart is weighed down with unhealed trauma, then that beauty will become a prison, and you will spend your strength trying to carry a load that was never yours to carry. Now, let me give you balance. Every human being has a past. Every person has pain. You will never find a woman or a man who doesn't have scars. That's not the issue. The issue is whether she has acknowledged her wounds, whether she has healed, whether she has grown from the pain. See, scars are fine. They show that healing has taken place. But open wounds, open trauma, open baggage, that is dangerous. That will poison your relationship. Studies even show that individuals with symbolic or large tattoos often report higher rates of past trauma, things like abuse, loss, or emotional neglect. So you must discern, is this tattoo just art, or is it evidence of a soul still in recovery? And if it is the latter, is she on the path to healing, or is she simply using ink to cover what she refuses to deal with? Let me tell you something, my brother, tattoos do not heal pain. They only display it. A tattoo of a broken heart does not fix the heartbreak. A tattoo of angel wings does not bring back the lost loved one. A tattoo of a rebellious phrase does not erase the wounds of oppression. They are symbols, not solutions. And if she has chosen symbols but not sought solutions, then you will find yourself living with her unresolved chapters. And here's the part most men overlook. Emotional baggage will eventually turn into relational sabotage. A woman who has not healed may punish you for the sins of the men before you. She may withhold trust because her trust was betrayed. She may test your loyalty endlessly because loyalty was broken in her past. She may struggle to receive love because love was once used as a weapon against her. And here you are, giving your all, but she cannot receive it because she is still bound by her yesterday. Brothers, I need you to count the cost. Ask yourself, do I have the patience, the strength, the grace to walk with her through her healing process? Or will this baggage become the chain that strangles our relationship? Because here is the truth. Not every man is equipped to be a healer. Not every man is called to be a counselor. Some of you are stepping into roles that will exhaust you because you thought you were choosing a wife, but you were actually choosing a patient. And let's be real, sometimes she doesn't even want healing. Sometimes she clings to the pain because it has become her identity. That tattoo, that trauma, that baggage, it's who she believes she is now. And if you try to take it away, she may fight you because without her pain, she doesn't know who she is. Brothers, you cannot heal someone who does not want to be healed. You cannot love someone into wholeness if they have chosen brokenness. I want you to imagine your future again. Imagine trying to build a family with a woman who cannot let go of her past. Imagine trying to love her while she keeps suspecting you. Imagine trying to raise children in a house where bitterness lingers in the atmosphere. That's not peace, that's prison. And you are not designed to be a prisoner of another person's pain. But let me also speak with compassion here. If she has done the work, if she has sought healing, if she has faced her trauma with courage, then those tattoos may simply be reminders of how far she has come. In that case, they are scars, not open wounds, and scars can be beautiful when they testify of survival. But you must know the difference, my brother. Don't assume. Don't ignore the red flags. Ask the right questions. Listen carefully to her answers. Observe her reactions when conflict arises. That's when baggage shows itself most clearly. And finally, let me leave you with this truth. Love should not be about rescuing, it should be about partnering. If you find yourself feeling like her therapist instead of her partner, then you must recognize that imbalance. Marriage is heavy enough when two healed people come together, but when one is whole and the other is bleeding, the weight can crush even the strongest love. So my counsel is simple. Discern before you decide. Don't let the tattoo blind you to the trauma. Don't let the art distract you from the baggage. And if you see that she is still carrying yesterday into today, you must choose wisely whether you are willing to carry it with her or whether your destiny requires a partner who is already free. Because at the end of the day, brother, your peace is priceless, your destiny is sacred, and your legacy is too important to be buried under the weight of someone else's unresolved baggage. My brother, this one right here is for men who know what it feels like to wrestle with insecurity, to wrestle with comparison, to wrestle with that subtle fear of losing the woman you love. And I need you to hear me with clarity, because key point 8 is not something we can gloss over. Studies have shown that women with visible tattoos draw more attention in public settings, more stares, more comments, more advances from men. And while that may sound flattering at first, while it may feel like a compliment to walk beside a woman that others desire, in the long run, it can become a fire that burns down your peace if you are not strong enough to handle it. Let's be real, brother. Most men, no matter how confident they seem, deal with some level of jealousy. It's in our nature to want to protect what we believe belongs to us. But the issue is not just about protection, it's about peace. If every time you walk into a room, other men's eyes are all over her, if every dinner date turns into you noticing stares across the room, if every trip to the store feels like a parade of wandering eyes, then what should be a simple life begins to feel like a battlefield for your mind. Tattoos make a woman stand out. They attract attention. They spark curiosity. Sometimes they signal to certain men that she may be adventurous or even available. Now, she may not be entertaining any of it. She may be completely faithful to you, but the constant flood of attention can stir jealousy in you. And here's the truth. Jealousy will eat you alive from the inside if you don't deal with it. It will poison your trust, distort your vision, and turn your relationship into a cycle of suspicion. I've counseled brothers who thought they could handle it. They said, RC, I don't mind. I like that she's attractive. I like that people look at her. But a few years down the line, they were worn out. They were tired of second-guessing every man who smiled at her, every coworker who complimented her, every old friend who texted her. And their exhaustion wasn't because she was unfaithful. It was because the constant attention fueled their insecurity until trust became fragile. Now, let me pause and make this clear. The issue is not the tattoo itself. It's the way the tattoo amplifies the attention. A beautiful woman without tattoos will still attract stares, but the tattoos make her stand out even more. It's like putting a spotlight on her in every room. And you have to ask yourself, brother, am I secure enough as a man to handle that spotlight every single day? Because here's what jealousy does. At first, it's just a whisper in your mind. You think, why is he looking at her like that? Then it grows into questions. Why did he compliment you? Why did you smile back? Then it grows into arguments. I don't want you wearing that. I don't want you going there. And before you know it, your relationship is filled with tension, not because of anything she's done wrong, but because of the storm raging inside of you. And brother, let me be honest with you, jealousy will make you look small in her eyes. The very thing you fear will come upon you, because if you let jealousy control you, she will lose respect for you. A woman may be flattered at first that you're protective, but if you become controlling, suspicious, or paranoid, she will eventually see you as insecure. And no woman respects a man she perceives as insecure. That's why this is so important. If you know that jealousy is a battle for you, then you must be careful about the kind of woman you choose. Don't set yourself up for failure. Don't connect yourself to someone whose image, whose body art, whose aura draws constant attention if you don't have the strength to withstand it. Because once you are in it, the weight will be heavier than you expected. Now let me go deeper. It's not just about other men. It's about how she responds to the attention. Some women thrive on attention. They feed on it. They love the stares. They enjoy the compliments. They bask in the eyes that follow them. And if that is her spirit, then your jealousy will never find peace, because she will always be chasing validation from the crowd. She may not cheat, but she will constantly invite attention because it makes her feel alive. And you, brother, will always feel like you're competing with the world for her focus. That's not love. That's torment. Brothers, you must also work on yourself. Because the truth is, no matter who you marry, there will always be men who admire her, who desire her, who stare at her. You cannot control that. What you can control is your own security. You must know who you are. You must be rooted in your identity. You must be confident in your worth. If you don't build that confidence now, jealousy will destroy any relationship you enter, tattoos or no tattoos. Still, the studies don't lie. Tattoos amplify the attention. They make the woman stand out in a crowd, and that reality cannot be ignored. If you know your weakness, then don't choose a situation that constantly tests it. That's like a man who struggles with alcohol spending his life in a bar. You're setting yourself up for failure. So, my counsel is this: examine your own heart. Ask yourself, am I strong enough, secure enough, confident enough to love this woman without being shaken by the attention she draws? And if the answer is no, then walk away now, because it is better to be alone in peace than to be partnered in torment. Jealousy is like fire, brother. It will either refine you or consume you. And if you are not ready to deal with it, then don't play with sparks, because a woman who draws constant attention is not the problem, but your inability to handle it will become the problem. Choose wisely. Protect your peace. Guard your destiny. Because at the end of the day, a relationship without trust is not love. It is prison. And no man was born to live in prison. My brother, let me bring this home by dealing with what I believe is the root of it all: values. Because at the end of the day, relationships do not survive on attraction. They do not survive on passion. They do not even survive on good intentions. Relationships thrive or die based on alignment of values. And this is where so many men get caught up. They see the body, they see the beauty, they see the tattoos that excite them, but they never stop to ask the most important question: does this woman share my values? See, values are the compass of a person's life. They are the things you believe, the principles you live by, the convictions you will not compromise on. And brother, when you tie your life to a woman whose compass is pointed in a different direction than yours, then no matter how strong the attraction is, No matter how exciting the chemistry feels, eventually you are going to be pulled apart. Studies show that couples with mismatched values are far more likely to experience conflict, dissatisfaction, and eventual separation. And tattoos, as small as they may seem, often point to deeper value systems. For some women, tattoos represent freedom of expression. For others, they represent rebellion against tradition. For some, they are spiritual symbols, while for others, they are nothing but fashion. The key is not the tattoo itself, it's what it represents to her. And you must ask yourself, is what it represents aligned with what I believe? If you are a man of faith, if you are a man who believes your body is a temple, if you are a man who holds to certain traditions, then you cannot ignore it when a woman shows by her choices that her values differ, because what she values will show up in how she lives, how she raises children, how she handles money, how she navigates conflict. And if those values don't align with yours, then you are already setting yourself up for division. Imagine you value modesty and she values self-expression at any cost. Imagine you value order and she values doing whatever feels good in the moment. Imagine you value building a legacy and she values living for today. Brother, how can two walk together unless they agree? The Bible makes it plain you can't walk in peace if your values are pulling you in opposite directions. And here's what happens. In the beginning, love blinds you. You tell yourself, it's just a tattoo, it's not that deep. You tell yourself, we can work around our differences, but after the honeymoon period fades, values start to clash. Suddenly, you're arguing about how to raise the children. Suddenly, you're arguing about what church to attend. Suddenly, you're arguing about money, about boundaries, about principles. And you realize too late that the tattoo was not just art, it was a signal that her values were never in sync with yours. Now, I know some brothers think, well, I'll change her. Over time, she'll see things my way. And I need to warn you, brother, that is a trap. You cannot build a relationship on the hope of changing someone's value. People may compromise for a season, but when pressure comes, when storms hit, they will always revert back to what they truly believe. And then you will find yourself frustrated, trying to drag her into a life she never signed up for. This is why you must be honest with yourself on the front end. Ask the hard questions before you commit. Don't just ask about her past relationships. Ask about her beliefs. Don't just admire her body, discern her mindset. Don't just listen to her words. Watch her actions, because her values are not hidden, they are displayed in how she lives. Brother, let me also caution you about this. Sometimes attraction can blind you to incompatibility. You get so caught up in how she makes you feel that you silence your own convictions. You ignore the tension in your spirit. You overlook the warning signs. You say, I know we don't agree on everything, but love will carry us through. But love without values is like a house without a foundation. It may look beautiful for a while, but when the storm comes, it will collapse. And storms will come. Life will test your relationship. Challenges will expose whether your values are aligned. If she values loyalty and you value loyalty, then challenges will draw you closer. But if she values freedom while you value commitment, then challenges will pull you apart. That's why compatibility of values is not optional. It is essential. Let me speak to you about legacy. Your values shape your future, and your future shapes your children. If you build with a woman whose values oppose yours, then your children will grow up confused. One parent pulling them one way, the other pulling them another way. And confusion in the foundation produces instability in the generation. That's why it's not just about you, it's about the destiny attached to your life. So, brother, when you see that tattoo, don't just ask, is it attractive? Ask, what does it mean to her? What does it say about her values? Does it reflect a heart that aligns with mine? And if the answer is no, then have the courage to walk away. Because choosing a partner is not just about satisfying your present desires, it's about protecting your future destiny. And let me leave you with this truth. Love is not enough if values don't align. I've seen too many men broken, too many men drained, too many men destroyed because they ignored values for the sake of attraction. But a wise man chooses with his vision, not just his eyes. A wise man looks beyond today into tomorrow. A wise man asks not, do I love her now? But can I build with her for the next 40 years? Brother, if your values are aligned, then you have the foundation to build something unshakable. But if they are not, then you are building on sand, and the fall will be great. Don't let passion blind you. Don't let loneliness rush you. Don't let attraction trick you. Choose values because values will sustain what feelings cannot. At the end of the day, compatibility is not about matching tattoos, matching interests, or matching personalities. It is about matching values. And when your values align, then even storms cannot destroy you. But when they don't, even sunshine cannot keep you together. Choose wisely, my brother. Your future depends on it. My brother, let's take this deeper because we've walked through 9 heavy truths, but this one right here is often overlooked. Studies show that one of the overlooked risks in dating a woman with tattoos is the possibility that her past is written on her body, and when you join yourself to her, you are also joining yourself to the stories, the baggage, and the memories attached to that ink. And I need you to really hear me, because this is not about condemning her choices, but it's about helping you count the cost. See, tattoos are permanent stories written on the skin. They often symbolize moments, people, pain, rebellion, or transitions in life. A name etched across her arm is not just ink, it is history. A symbol on her back is not just art, it's a reminder of a chapter in her life. And you as a man stepping into her world must ask yourself, am I prepared to live with her past being visible every single day of our relationship? Because whether she talks about it or not, those marks will speak. Some men get into relationships and then realize too late that every time they look at her body, they're confronted with evidence of another man, another season, or another pain. And that begins to eat away at the relationship. It breeds insecurity. It stirs questions. Who was he? Why did she get that? Does she still think about that moment? Brother, you've got to be honest with yourself. Can you handle it? Because if you can't, you will suffer in silence, or worse, your insecurity will come out in anger and resentment. Psychological studies even suggest that tattoos connected to trauma, rebellion, or past lovers can serve as emotional triggers. That means even she may be carrying emotional baggage she hasn't fully dealt with, and every time she sees the ink, she's reminded of something unresolved. Now here's the danger. You, as her man, may end up becoming the healer of wounds you didn't cause. You may spend your energy fighting ghosts from her past instead of building your future. That is a heavy burden to carry, and too many men underestimate it until they're already entangled. Know somebody is thinking, well, love covers all of that. If I love her enough, it won't matter. Brother, let me caution you, love is powerful, but love does not erase triggers. Love does not erase memories. Love does not remove the meaning attached to permanent ink. If she has not healed, then your relationship will become a battlefield of reminders. And you must discern, am I marrying her or am I marrying her past? Another side of this is the cultural weight. In some families, tattoos are not just art, they are red flags. If your parents, your community, or your spiritual leaders see her tattoos and associate them with rebellion, promiscuity, or instability, you will find yourself defending her at every turn. That's another layer of pressure. And while you may think you can handle it, over time, constant friction between your partner and your family can wear down even the strongest man. Then there's the professional and social environment. A woman with certain tattoos may carry labels wherever she goes. Studies show people with tattoos are often judged more harshly, seen as less professional, or stereotyped unfairly. Brother, if you tie your life to her, that stigma will not just affect her, it will affect you too. People will connect you to her image, and you must ask, am I prepared for that association? And here's something even deeper. Tattoos can also represent a spirit of permanence attached to temporary people. How many men have married a woman only to realize she still has the name of another man inked on her body? How many brothers thought they could ignore it only to feel the sting every time they saw it? That is not a small thing, because your spirit will always wrestle with the idea that another man was permanently marked on her. And if she doesn't remove it, then it becomes a permanent third party in your intimacy. I'm not saying every tattoo is negative. Some tattoos are simply art. Some are cultural. Some are family related. But you cannot ignore the fact that many carry emotional weight. And when you love a woman, you will carry her joys, but you will also carry her scars. The difference here is that these scars are on display, permanent, and often misunderstood. If you are not strong enough to handle that, it will crush you. So here's my advice to you, brother. Don't just ask her what tattoos she has. Ask her why she has them. Ask her what they mean. Ask her what story they tell. Because it's not the ink that matters, it's the values, the history, the mindset behind the ink. And if her answers reveal pain she hasn't healed from, rebellion she hasn't released, or attachment she hasn't broken, then you must pause and ask yourself if you are ready to bear that. Because marriage is not just about today's feelings, it's about tomorrow's consequences. If you marry a woman whose past is carved into her skin, you must be ready for what comes with that. Can you raise children without conflict over what those tattoos represent? Can you walk into professional spaces without embarrassment? Can you stand before your family without feeling ashamed? Can you embrace her body fully without resentment creeping in? But if the answer is yes, then proceed with clarity. But if the answer is no, then you must have the courage to walk away before your soul is entangled. Too many men ignore this risk because they fear being alone, only to find themselves in a lifelong battle with insecurity, baggage, and reminders of another man. The truth is this: what is permanent on her body will permanently affect your relationship. Do not ignore it. Do not downplay it. Do not assume you can change it. See it for what it is. Count the cost and choose wisely, because your peace of mind, your future, and your legacy depend on it. Brother, a wise man does not just marry a woman's beauty, he marries her history, her habits, her heart, and yes, even her scars. Make sure the story written on her skin is one you are willing to live with for the rest of your life.